Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our Thursday night eviction episode of Big Brother 17. It's August 20th. We're down to just 8 people in the house, at least for this week, and then again next week when somebody comes back into the house. And here to recap a scintillating eviction episode between Becky and Johnny Mac. Here is a man who does not hail from Governor New York. It's Ian Terry. Ian, how are you?
Well, I'm doing really well, Rob. A lot more energy than last time, so it works out.
Is it true that you got advice from Dan Giesling to drink a bunch of Jolt Cola and eat a bunch of Almond Joys?
You know, actually, I do remember reading that. Yes, I did.
Yes. Well, now you're ready. You're ready to go. It's the return of the glasses this week, Ian.
Yeah, you know, I was gonna throw that blazer on back there, but I decided it was too much.
Yeah. Okay, well, good to see you. Ian, did your hometown in Pittsburgh, did they make as big of a fuss about you being on Big Brother as Steve's town did?
Obviously not. You know, being in a small town and being on one of these shows, I imagine that must be pretty cool. Like, you know, you're pretty much just a celebrity for life. But I know that it was somewhat of a big deal at Tulane, which is kind of cool. I mean, a little bit, though.
And Alex, do you think in Governor New York everybody gets to walk around talking like the governor from Walking Dead?
Rob, yeah, I don't know if that's the case or not, but I do know that you just can't trust. You can't trust these people in this world today.
You gotta pay the bill, Steve. Pay the bill. All right, Steve, no floaters. Come on, represent us. You're from the governor.
Yes, all right.
I better grab a life vest.
Floaters, you better grab a life vest in governor.
Ian, sorry to lose you with this Walking Dead humor.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't really watch television, but it's all right.
But we're pumped up. Fear the Walking Dead is premiering this weekend. Josh Wigler and I are going to be having an audio podcast weekly, bringing you our coverage of Fear the Walking Dead on post-show recap, so we're pumped up about that. But good to have you doing double duty tonight, Alex, filling in for Brent, who's returning from vacation.
Yes, Becky's train may be leaving the station, but here comes mine, Rob.
All right, well, speaking of Becky, we will have our interview that we're going to send in, our interview questions to Becky tonight, and then Alex and I will recap all of the goings-on from overnight in the Big Brother house tomorrow, and we'll have that uploaded Friday afternoon, which will include our exit interview questions for Becky, which you can also, if you want to make sure, if you have an idea for a question that you're dying to know from Becky, not sure that there's too many of those questions that are out there, send them in to Alex on Twitter. He's at Alex Kidwell. And then we will get them into Becky. We'll go over the answers to the questions from Becky, and then we'll talk about everything that happened overnight and who is going to be the likely nominees this week. And, of course, on Friday as well, we will have the Big Brother Happy Hour coming up, and with Jordan Parhar, who's going to be speaking with the winner of Big Brother Canada 2, John Party. That's going to be live at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into this. Really, Ian, a quiet night for a Big Brother eviction. Becky goes home, as expected. Very few curveballs in the show tonight.
Yeah, really not a lot of fanfare here this week, Rob. Pretty straightforward. We had that full, 2 minutes of Zingbot footage from previous seasons. So, I mean, really scraping for some good material. Not that Zingbot's bad material or anything. I mean, it's definitely entertaining.
Yeah, it was a night where it seemed like they were really stretching. In addition to the eviction, we also had a extended segment on all of Steve's pranks. We saw a visit to Steve's hometown in terms of everything going on there. We also got to see a segment from the jury house, plus all of the Zingbot segments. And so really on a Thursday night, we are just go, 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 go. This was a night, and I think that really speaks to the lack of campaigning this week, Alex. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I'd say that's more than fair to say. I touched on it a little bit last night, but yeah, it did feel like, a week ago Thursday, all this game was played all night, and then it's like they went into a week coma or something. Yeah, it was like everything was set, the water's calmed, and yeah, we're just like, wait and see when power will shift again. So here we are.
Ian, what happened to Becky here, who seemed like she really had a fire lit under her the week that she won the HOH. Would you say that Becky got a case of the classic HOH-itis?
Well, I mean, it just went wrong for her. I mean, she had the pretty clear target in Vanessa, and then the House decided to not agree with her plans, and that's how it happened. And she was still there, stuck around as the target, and that was it. That's how it goes. If you're the HOH and you don't get your target out, you're pretty much screwed.
Yeah. Wow. So it was all or nothing for Becky, and ultimately she ends up going home. So one of the intriguing things I thought about tonight's episode was the development of Johnny Mac and Steve ending up joining forces with the Oz twins. Ian, for those two players in particular, do you think is that the correct strategy to be joining forces with probably the biggest power trio in the house?
Well, the thing is, for them to shift from being people on the outside to people on any inside, even if they are only two of the five, it's really not that bad. I mean, the twins are unbreakable, and people are going to have to go ahead and nominate them at some point together. So if you can get in there, then you're probably going to be at the bottom of the pecking order for people that are outside and be putting them up.
Alex, how much was that a storyline in the week, or did Big Brother tonight just feed us something that wasn't that big a deal?
I mean, I felt like this was something that, for the most part, these conversations were going on almost like before even Veto was played. I can't remember. I think that one took place after. But for the most part, yeah, like game conversations were few and far between in the last couple of days just because people, like, at this point, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to, be throwing stuff out there until you just kind of see where things fall tonight. And not only that, but, it is a situation where it's like if you talk to Oz twins and they go talk to James and Meg, like that screws you. So you don't want to make that move too soon.
And we didn't really see where Meg and James were in all of this. I mean, I'm sure we'll get more into this during the spoiler segment. But are they just neutral, or are they trying to align themselves with the Oz twins also?
So that's the thing, and this was like everything that was talked about last Thursday night when Vanessa actually, was up there with Austin and the twins, and they still were on her side. They talked about making a deal that included James and Meg, and that was going to be brass tacks, and then making another deal with Steven and John, and this way they're covered on all sides. Since then, they've had the falling out with Vanessa, so that she's no longer really lumped in on those deals. But, yeah, it remains to be seen, like, which way they would stick. And, in fact, Austin and both twins were talking about throwing tonight because they really feel safe on both sides.
Ian, did you think it was interesting that tonight of all nights seemed like the night where we saw Vanessa the least in the house?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it definitely seemed to me like she was not exactly a key player in a lot of the negotiations this week, so she definitely had a quiet episode. And, I mean, I've read some theories online as to why she...
Ooh. What do you got? Theories. Enlighten us.
Well, I've read some theories as to why she might be around for quite a while, given, despite her position, rather, as someone that, is seen as a shady suspect. But, I think it is pretty interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So, interesting to see what's going to ultimately happen for Vanessa. Ian, let me get your take on this, because we've been talking about it all week on the show.
Sure.
About where does Austin and the twins, where do they stand in terms of this game? And do you see a light to the end of the tunnel for them? Or is it, in the case of Becky, just an oncoming train?
I mean, that three, it's a huge number, right? I mean, they are kind of sitting pretty, but at the same time, everyone sees the twins and knows the twins. That's the most obvious possible pair, and you gotta put them up at some point. You have to. So the time will come where they're both sitting on the block. I'm almost certain of it, unless they can just somehow just bounce HOH back and forth towards the end. But I mean, come on, what are the odds of that?
So you feel like, much like Alex said last night, that the threat of the Oz twins is overblown in your mind?
Well, the threat of them doing well, or people seeing them as a threat because they're a large number?
Them going to the end.
Yeah, no, they'll be targeted soon enough, I'm sure. You have to. There's eventually going to be a week where there's a truce probably called, and then those two end up getting nominated at some point. Like, that has to happen.
So call it right now, Ian. Of those three, when we get to the final three, how many of those three are there?
One.
One. Okay. Alex, what about you?
That's a big one for me as well. I was
Why?
sitting here nodding and nodding. Yeah, I agree with everything Ian just said. That sounds exactly right. I think, you will see like an Exterminators type situation where it's like Andy knew at 7, or at 6 even, gather the remaining 3 stragglers, make a final 4, take out the strong pair or the dominant trio, whatever you have.
Okay. All right. So then in terms of the HOH tonight, who's the person that needs it the most, do you guys feel? Ian, who's the person that needs it the most?
Well, I mean, I think a Vanessa HOH would be kind of interesting right now, but I'd like to see Johnny Mac move upstairs, even though, he seems like he might be finding himself a decent alliance. I think that would just really help him solidify things.
Do you feel, Ian, that Johnny Mac has started to emerge tonight? He's sort of in a weird place, I feel like, in the Big Brother fandom, where there are a lot of people who really just love Johnny Mac. He walks on water for some fans that are out there. Other people feel like he's incredibly overrated. Tonight, it's starting to feel like he is making moves, but at the same time, he's still like always just on the verge of taking a nap. And his strategy seems to be a non-strategy, but it's been effective for him. So where do you stand on Johnny Mac?
I actually think there's something very interesting about Johnny Mac, like very, very subtle gameplay. I always love the people that play in a very subtle way. I like he wasn't really afraid of sitting on the block in those early weeks against, targets like Audrey and obviously this week against Becky, who was a big target. It's very low-key. He doesn't win the HOHs. I mean, he won a lot of vetoes early on, but I do like the way he plays. I think he's interesting, but he's not the one with the agency, right? He's not the one that's coming up with any plans, but he's playing a very good, use me to get you further game, but in doing so, you also have to bring me along.
Can you compare where he is right now to where you were in Big Brother 14? Because I feel like the easy comparison, or maybe even, dare I say, the lazy comparison to make, is to make between you and Steve at any given point. But do you see any of the Big Brother 14 Ian in where Johnny Mac is at right now?
I mean, I feel like, given the different length of the games, obviously this one is much, like the 15 onward one is much more of a marathon than 14 and below. But that said, I think that Johnny Mac hasn't peaked yet. Right, and I think that if we were to say percentage-wise, I would say I've probably already peaked at this point. And you don't want to peak too early, right?
Never want to peak too early, Ian.
I think Johnny Mac has not yet peaked.
What do you mean you peaked too early? What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, I think that my best weeks of the game were weeks 4 through 6, right? I mean, I was in a really nice position at that point, but then it became too obvious to the rest of the house that I was in a really good position, so the rug had to be pulled out from under me, or at least attempted to pull that out from under me. That being said, as far as strategic positioning goes, I probably peaked too early. The good thing was I could win competitions to save my ass over and over again.
So you feel like the best is yet to come potentially strategically from Johnny Mac, but you think he needs to start winning competitions. Will that out him as a threat, though, if he starts winning HOHs?
Well, I mean, he's also won a huge amount of vetoes early on in the season, so, I mean, I don't really see that he's viewed as a physical threat in any way, despite even doing that, so...
Alex, let me get your take on this. Johnny Mac and where he stands now. Which camp are you in? Are you in the Johnny Mac is overrated, or maybe this season could be about the emergence of Johnny Mac?
Yeah, it is so interesting, right, to talk about the debate. I mean, I've gotten tweets tonight, one person asking, why is Johnny so ridiculous? One person asking, is Johnny Dan Giesling? You know what I mean? What a spectrum. And, yeah, I think, Ian's really, I mean, he's right when he talks about, the person who gets, the highest nail gets pounded down. You know what I mean? The person who stands out as, the clear front runner is usually the person who goes. So it's not in your best interest to be a front runner until, to emerge until really late in the game. And Johnny hasn't really emerged yet. He's still on the upward track of the roller coaster, and he hasn't, hit his kind of, momentous downward kind of hill yet.
I'm sort of in the middle on Johnny Mac because I think to compare him to Dan Kiesling is lunacy because I feel like that. Ian, do you see it differently?
Well, no, I absolutely see it differently. Go on, because I'll probably end up saying the same thing.
Great. So I think that Dan is everything that Dan does is calculated, and I'm sure there have been things that have been happy accidents in his Big Brother career. But for the most part, Dan is there. He's thinking about the game. He's always thinking about the game. In terms of Johnny Mac, that I think that he is somebody who his personality does shine through a lot of times. I don't think that Johnny Mac is thinking game all the time. I think that in a season where there have been so many big players that are being targeted and people that, oh, this person's up to something, we got to get rid of them. The whole Audrey effect of, oh, this person's making all these deals, we're on to them. Even with Vanessa around, we're on to them. It's almost like a lack of playing has been the thing that's sort of been the best camouflage, with all due respect to Captain Camo himself. I think that Johnny Mac's really, his non-strategizing has kept him alive to this point, because somebody in his position who's been on the outs most of this game, if he starts strategizing all the time or is seen as somebody who's sneaky, he's definitely gone at this point. So I feel like that he's been able to stay alive by not being so strategic and really scheming and plotting so much. But I think a lot of us are asking for him to flip on a switch now to get to the end of the game. I'm just not sure if he has that gear in him, Ian.
Well, the thing is, like, as far as the Dan comparison goes, is that if you're Dan or Derek, like, there's no such thing as, oh, you peaked too soon, right? I mean, Derek peaked in week 3 and just never let it go. It's unreal. But, I mean, most mortals, like Johnny Mac, like, yeah, he'll have to flip on a switch, but as long as he just trends upwards slowly but surely, he happens to be towards the top, 2 weeks from now. I mean, that's a fine spot to be in.
So, give us the path to the end for Johnny Mac. So, hypothetically, he sticks with the Oz twins. They get Vanessa out this week. Somebody comes back into the house. What would be the best case scenario at that point? A Becky return to the house?
I mean, that sounds pretty good to me. Yeah, it's definitely strongest alliance in there. It would be great for him to work with her.
Okay, now, Alex, would that be such a great thing for Johnny Mac to have a hobbled Becky return to the house? Won't that just put more of the spotlight back on him?
It's an interesting point. There was a good conversation early Tuesday morning where Steve and Johnny were really talking game. It was like 5:30 Tuesday morning. And they were talking about, like, who's really good for us to come back. And they, talked about Becky, and they were like, the danger there is the perception of Becky being with us. Whereas they actually realized between the two of them, if Jackie came back, Jackie's the one who didn't want to evict Shelly. She wanted to evict Vanessa like Becky wanted them to. And it was James and Meg who really flipped. So they're hoping there is a little bit of a schism there between Jackie, James, and Meg, where Jackie, the perception is she's clearly still with James and Meg. But the reality is maybe we can pull Jackie. That would actually probably be the best because it's not so obvious.
You think Jackie would turn on James and Meg?
Maybe not turn, but I don't know that she would. If she just doesn't come back targeting J-Mac and Steve, if she comes back targeting Oz Twins, then they can use that. They can let her target a member of Oz Twins, let a member of Oz Twins get out James, then make a Final Four with Meg and Jackie, take out the rest of the side. That sounds brilliant to me. That's a Final Four you want. If you're Steve and Johnny Mac, you want to be there with Meg and Jackie, no?
That sounds really nice.
And Ian, what about the other part of this? We've talked about from Johnny Mac's perspective. From Steve's perspective, do you see a light at the end of the tunnel for Steve?
His position's not bad, actually. I actually do like it. I mean, if I'm given an offer right now to swap into any one person's position in the game, I'm probably actually going to take Steve's. I feel like that one has a lot of room to play. I feel like there's a lot of flexibility there, that he's going to be able to make some good choices down the line. That's what you want in Big Brother, is choices.
That would be so huge for Steve to just have Ian Terry quantum leap into him at this point in the game. Like, week 9, okay, you got to this point. Now Ian Terry's going to bring it home.
Well, that's the thing is, the other thing, you have to remember, Steve, I'm assuming he's probably going to be pretty decent in the competitions like I was. So if he gets to a certain point, there's probably like what I call like the Steve win-out point, where he just goes on a tear and just starts winning everything.
But do you see that potential? I mean, why?
I did it. I mean, what? I mean, he's a smart guy. He went to Cornell. he's a bright guy. He knows the game very well. He's going to be able to guess what comps are coming. He keeps track. He studies. He should be fine at it. I mean, I think he's in just as, I mean, maybe he's not in as good physical shape as I was, but, you know, he's probably not too far off.
Okay, they do get more cerebral down the stretch, I was going to say, too, with the days, with having to know who was nominated when.
Quite good at that.
All right, so I feel like we've got the rose-colored glasses on for a lot of people. Let's be real, though. Somebody's going home Thursday. Somebody's going home Thursday after that. Not everybody's going to make it to the end. So, Ian, who's in the bad positions? Who are the people that you feel like there are warning signs right now, other than Vanessa?
Right.
Who is the other person who's in a lot of danger of this whole thing falling apart and they don't see it right now?
Well, I mean, that thing is, like, right now I feel that pretty much all eyes are on Vanessa at this point, right?
Now, how interesting of a week would it be if Vanessa goes home and then the whole reset button? It's basically the week where it didn't happen. She goes out the door and is back in. How interesting would that be, Ian?
That could be a lot of fun. I mean, Operation Revolving Door is always possibly an effect there, though.
Yeah. What do you think, Alex? Do you feel like that would be a particularly compelling scenario?
Oh, compelling for sure. Yeah, I think it would be very interesting. I think it'd be really, especially if like Austin and the twins like visibly turn their back on her on the way out. It would be very interesting to see how she comes back and how she reassesses, because she's very intelligent. I don't think anyone's suggested otherwise as far as that's concerned.
Alex, where would Shelley land if she came back into the house next week?
That's a good question. That's something Johnny Mac and Steve were talking about too. Johnny Mac actually thought Shelley would be the worst for them to come back because she would just come right to them. And it's interesting that he thinks that's bad for them right now because he doesn't want to be a 3. He feels like Austin and the twins are going to be an inevitable target very soon because they're a 3. And him and Steve are a 2. But if Shelley were to come back, she's just going to run right to them, and now they're a 3 too, and they don't want that. So it's interesting to think that they almost want a juror who is not visibly a friend.
But it seems to me like that seems like smart game talk. Are you more bullish on Johnny Mac than maybe you let us think so far?
Well, I've always been a fan of Johnny. I've always maintained that he needs to change something about his game from where it stands if he wants to win, because he's been playing the Godfrey game, and we saw that if you don't switch it up, that you can make it to the end playing the Godfrey game, but not have been seen as doing anything. So I've always said that Johnny Mac needs to have a more active role in the evictions and the story of the season. What's the story here? Is it? Who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys? You know. But
Johnny Mac.
But yeah, so no, if he wants to win the game, you have to be a main character of the season story. I don't think you can be a bit player and win the game, even if you get to the end. And that's why I think Julia is the most likely of the 3 to make it to the end, and the least likely to win of like maybe anyone in the house, because she's been there half the time.
I'm gonna co-sign that Julia is of that threesome probably most set up to be positioned to go deep.
Well, this brings up a different scenario. So let's get to it's the final 3. Let's say the Aust twins run the table, and it's Austin and it's Liz and it's Julia. Does Julia potentially throw the Final 3 challenge to her sister? This was something that came up a lot during Survivor Blood vs. Water. That we had the John Mish and Jacqueline and Missy and Baylor, and they were just going to work it down to they wanted to get to the Final 3, and then Jacqueline was going to step down, and Baylor was going to step down, and they were going to sort of like shake out how they wanted the Final 3 to be. Ian, do you see a scenario where Liz would be like, I know, you can't win, so why don't you let me go to the Final 2 and you can vote for me?
Well, see, the thing is that in Blood vs. Water, given that there's a Final 3, that means that it's impossible for, like, the final people that are being voted on to just be comprised of one pairing, right?
Got it.
So there has to be another person. If Liz and Julia can sit next to each other, I mean, $500,000 goes back to the Nolans either way. So it's not like there's like, okay, well, we can vote either, Liz, Steve, or Austin. Like, that's not possible, right? It's not like you want your loved one on the jury to give you a guaranteed vote.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So would that be... I feel like the Dick versus Danielle was compelling. Would that be super boring if it was Liz versus Julia Final 2?
Yeah, I mean, I can't even tell them apart. Well, I can actually, looking at photos, but I mean, come on, to me, in my mind, it's like if one wins, the other wins. It's not like Dick and Danielle, where it was like you don't really know what's going to happen with their relationship, right?
Right. Even though it seemed like it was good on the show, and then ultimately it turned out to be not as great. I think it would be, that was probably out of all these scenarios where we have like Rob and Amber in the final two, and it's like, okay, well, they end up married to each other. I think that was probably the most interesting of all of these relatives in the final two scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like there was not, any. I felt like the money wasn't just going to go to the same place.
Got it. All right, let's jump into taking some questions tonight, and then we'll update what's going on the live feeds. And why don't we start off tonight with this question? This is from Riot Maker, who says, trains tend to run in a loop. Do you think that the Becky line makes its way back to the house? What do you think? Could Becky be the person who comes back in? Ian, could you give us percentages on who's the likely person to come back?
Well, I mean, let's think about this. So there's really three. Well, I mean, we don't know the mechanism in which they are coming back, right? I mean, if there's some sort of fan vote, I mean, let's take a look. Vanessa, or Becky. I mean, that's an interesting one, but I would imagine in that case, we're probably looking at Becky going back, right?
Hey, Alex, is it safe to assume that this season is going to completely follow the format of Big Brother 16 and we'll have some sort of, like, shuffleboard version of the challenge that we saw, like some sort of just event that was going to take place that's going to be random, that we're going to see one of the four is going to get back in?
I feel like they hurt. I mean, maybe this is just me talking, but I think maybe, there was a lot of criticism of that. Jocasta almost got back in the house, and I don't think, like, the average super fan was like, yeah, let's go Jocasta. So I think with that in mind, they might, and if I'm putting myself in their shoes, I would go back to something more like what they did with Big Brother 15, where you're like balls on the wall. I know they already did that this season, but an endurance competition, something that it requires like stamina and endurance and a will to want to get back in. Like, that's ideal for me. I think that's ideal for most fans. I don't know what it's going to be for sure. I think a fan vote would benefit like Jackie or Becky personally.
Well, yeah, actually, I'm going to strongly co-sign HOH endurance combined with returner challenge for these types of things. I mean, I really like that because not only does it give them the opportunity to get back in, but also, like, it was possible in that Judd game to, like, if the person who caught 10 balls happened to be one of the jurors, not only were they back in, but they're also HOH. And also, the endurance challenge right off the bat makes it interesting because, someone who's not been in the house really doesn't know the dynamics and might want to just try to win that to get their footing back like Amy did in Big Brother 3. So I think that, hey, who wants it the most? I think that could be definitely interesting.
Yeah. And something that we touched on that was interesting before the show started was this idea of why have there been so many competitions that have not ended in the hour of the Thursday broadcast. Ian, was this your theory or was this Alex's?
What's Alex's, but I could piggyback off it, so.
Yeah, so you're just going, or you could just rip it off?
No, piggyback.
Okay. All right. So, Alex, what is the theory you have?
Well, and I can't take full credit for this either because, I spend a lot of time online, Big Brother Reddit and stuff, and these conversations have been taking place. I can't sit here and say that I was the first to think of it.
So this was originally posted on the Fat Jewish Instagram account?
Maybe.
Okay. That's a social media joke.
That's right. I'm on it now. Yeah, it took me a minute. Okay. God, man, I got to be quick with you to keep up with these references.
Okay. Scott St. Pierre is telling me in the Google Hangout that it was his idea.
Yes. Well, we'll get to But basically, I mean, in a nutshell, just the idea that once Battle of the Block is gone, they need a competition for Sunday. That they, what are they going to do with that block on Sunday? And it does kind of make sense that they want a competition for that. So it seems less and less likely we're going to see HOHs that come to a conclusion on Thursday.
Yeah, so when they took the Battle of the Block away, we need something to fill time on the Sunday night show.
Yeah, and the other thing is, historically, every single episode of Big Brother has had I believe, at least one competition in it of some sort. I can't remember the last time there's been an episode in which there was no competition at all. And since they soon be done with have-nots, then they're just going to make the HOHs last into Sunday more often.
Okay. I mean, do we like this?
I mean, I don't really care for have-not competitions, so...
Yeah, and this is better than Battle on the Block, even though I like to know who's going to be the HOH on Thursday. I guess it's a small price to pay for no Battle on the Block and no food competition.
I mean, does it matter, though? Because, you have fees.
I guess so, but it's fun to be able to speculate on Thursday. Okay, here's what's happening and do this show. You know, I'm very selfish with that.
Okay.
So we'll see. All right, let's take another question. This is from Stephen K, who says, this seems super early for a jury member to come back into the game. Is this when it normally happens? Is when it happened in Big Brother 16?
Yeah, I mean, I think that 15, this is also where it happened. I mean, I think Big Brother Canada was the only one where they just, hey, pre-birthed into the final 5 for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
Which was completely absurd.
I was looking at this earlier. There's been some seasons where it was different. Like, I remember Crazy James came back really early. Like, I think it was at, 9 or maybe even 10.
Well,
but
then there's jurors, though.
Yeah.
And that was Big Brother 9.
That's ancient history, I guess.
By the way, Ian, I read a very interesting article on my plane ride to New York about the oral history of Big Brother in the Huffington Post. How long ago did they interview you for that article?
That took me a good, I don't know, an hour?
No, how long ago did they talk to you?
It was like second to last day of school, so June.
So back in June. And so, did you talk to the reporter, or was so they just emailed you questions?
No, it was on the phone.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I'd like to talk to I talked to the guy who did the oral history of Survivor for TV Guide, Rob Moynihan. And that was a very interesting interview. And I would like to hear, the kind of stuff that didn't even make the article.
Oh no!
What happened?
It's being related, I guess. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Well, hold on, Ian.
Not game related, but just related to something on the feeds.
Okay. All right. Well, hold that thought.
But no, I really enjoyed doing the article. It was great. It's good.
It was interesting. Okay, check that out. That's on, just Google Huffington Post Oral History Big Brother. You'll find it. It was interesting. Thomas wants to know, why does Big Brother bother trying to trick us into thinking there's any suspense for the vote when one house guest is clearly dressed for the HOH comp and the other one is dressed to impress Julie? Ian, why can't we just even put Johnny Mac in a pair of breakaway pants in there? Or tell Johnny Mac, all right, you can wear shorts, whatever, but put jeans over them for the live show?
That's actually a really good question. I mean, they just come over the PA and tell you how to dress before the thing. So that thing is Becky was told to wear athletic gear, but she was probably like, well, screw that. I'm not going to wear athletic gear. I want to wear a nice dress when I get evicted. So, I mean, that's really on the person who's going home rather than production or the other person.
I guess, does the casual viewer even pay attention to that, Alex?
I would imagine.
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, it depends. I mean, once you get to that point, yeah, I would say that's something that certainly catches the eye of some of the casuals.
Yeah. They should, why not? They can't give Johnny Mac a pair of jeans to put over his athletic gear?
You can do that. I know that when Brittany got evicted last season, she wore athletic gear under her dress in case sort of did.
Okay. All right. Not a big deal, but something that's kind of interesting. This is from Rachel, who says, Liz said she wanted to get out the bigger comp threat. Wouldn't that be Johnny Mac since Becky injured her toe? Alex, how much was that a consideration that Becky is hobbled at this point?
Yeah, Vanessa tried to make that pitch late in the week. Yeah, she was laid up all Tuesday, and yeah, she's been really, that toe has really hampered her ability to do stuff.
What happened? That was during OTEV?
It flared up during OTEV, and yeah, she had to get in the DR and have it drained. I wonder if even that, I was listening to, I've listened to some people talk about in the past, getting infections from the muck you have to wade in those comps, and I do wonder if if that butt maybe gave her a toe infection.
So just let me set this straight. So Becky hits by a train in the face, seemingly no complications. OTEV is taking her out. That's
yeah,
fair.
and the craziest part to me, I think one of the craziest lines I've heard all summer was Becky said, I wasn't allowed pain medication after the train because it was a head injury. This hurts worse. And I'm like, this toe thing hurts worse than being hit in the face by a train. That's amazing. That toe must be killing you. Like, wow.
Tough stuff for Becky. Okay, we'll see if she is able to get back into the house with that injury. Alexander says, what's up with 3 endurance comps in 4 weeks? You surprised there's been so much endurance lately. I think it speaks to Scott's theory that we were talking about with Alex before, that Big Brother just trying to shift the competition from Thursday to Sunday night, and I think that's why we're seeing more and more endurance comps making the rounds. And even a new competition. Ian, did you like this idea for a competition?
I actually think it's pretty fun and inviting. Interesting.
It is inviting also.
Fun and inviting, yeah. No, I do think it's an interesting one. I always like when they come up with new comps, and I do like it. But, more on that when we get the feeds.
Okay. All right, let's go to, this is from Mark, who says, is it fair that the first 4 jurors don't have to be sequestered before possibly returning to the game?
Let me just make sure I understand this question.
Yeah, I think that the first 4 jurors probably are sequestered. I mean, that was the case with Big Brother 16, correct?
Yeah, they're definitely sequestered. They're at the jury house.
Okay, so
sequestered together, I guess, maybe is what
no, they're not. They're not together. They're not together.
They're at someone's mansion while they're on vacation.
Yeah. Let's go to Alexandra. Do you think that they will ever bring the pressure cooker HOH competition back? Ian, why not? You're nodding your head.
Because they do not want competitions to go. I read somewhere they don't want competitions to go that late into the night because it requires a lot of staff to also be there to monitor.
Yes. I've got a premature spoiler alert going on my iPad. Sorry about that. Carl Jordan says, do you think that the Zingbot, who do you think Zingbot will zing the worst? I think that Meg will get zinged. Of course, the Zingbot misses the chance to come up with any train-related zings during Saturday during the veto competition. Ian, who will get it the worst from the Zingbot? I know you were there when Danielle Murphy got it pretty good from the Zingbot.
I mean, the question is, will anyone overtake Christine's zing? And, I mean, let's say, I'm thinking Vanessa could get zinged pretty bad, but
For what?
I mean, just her constant paranoia, perhaps?
I feel like the people that are probably sitting there waiting together, I think Meg seems like Austin and Liz. I think that it's these people that are in the relationships. I think that those are the easiest targets for the Zingbot, because I think in the relationship, there's so many things that are taboo. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this. And I think that those are the people that are the most suspect. Alex, agree or disagree?
Yeah, I've been enjoying. There's a great thread on Reddit today about what do you think Zingbot will have for these house guests? And one person speculates God, couldn't just this episode be on HBO so that Austin and Liz could get something relative to. Anyways, I think something Beauty and the Beast is probably appropriate there, especially since what's her name, Belle, had some Stockholm syndrome going on in that show too. In that movie.
Wow, Stockholm syndrome for Beauty and the Beast. This got real.
Yeah, it's it's your captor, and then it's your captor for a long time, and what do you know? Now he's my boyfriend.
Okay, interesting observation. Let's take another question. This is from Taika Paika, who says, Becky said if she got back in the game, she would go after Liz and work with Vanessa. WTF, Ian?
Pretty interesting. I think I like Vanessa, to be perfectly honest. I wouldn't mind seeing her do very well in this game. I'd like to see how long she can keep it going. So, I mean, the only thing is that I imagine that by the time Becky has a chance to get back in, I imagine she would be playing against Vanessa for that right to get back in. So,
but do you believe it, or was she just like, whatever?
I mean, I don't see why. I mean, Becky, she can. Her mind goes with the wind. I mean, free spirit, right, bro?
She is a free spirit. Okay, and let's do one more question, and we'll get into talking some live feeds. This is from Jill Oliver. Can we talk about Steve being super weird under the hammock? Well, that was technically on last night's show, but Ian, you spent a lot of time on that hammock. Did you ever have a point where you got underneath the hammock while other people were in it?
No, I don't think so. I don't.
Did you ever think about doing that?
Yeah, I thought about crawling under most stuff.
Yeah.
There could have been a community idol there.
Yeah, why not?
Hey, Willie Hans is there. Why not an idol?
Why not? That's
Makes
right.
sense to me.
All right.
Quarters for the claw machine. That's what it is. They had to be in there somewhere, right?
Had to be in there somewhere. All right, before we get into talking about our live feeds, of course, let me just let you know, for those of you guys who are going to be jumping off, so Sunday night, I'm going to be live with Taryn Armstrong to break down everything that happens over the weekend on the live feeds. Then this Wednesday night, we've got a really great show coming up. Last night, we spoke with Audrey and Clay. We've got another house guest from Big Brother 17 coming to the show on Wednesday. Jason Roy will be our guest this coming Wednesday. So 6 days from now, this upcoming Wednesday night. That should be a very fun show. And, of course, be on the lookout on Friday for our Friday update of the feeds from Thursday night, and then our interview with Becky that Alex and I will discuss at length coming up on our next Big Brother podcast. All right, before we get to the live feed stuff, let me take a moment and thank sponsor. Those are friends over at Mazda, because Ian, does driving matter to you? I know it does. You're a big car guy.
Yeah, I mean, I like driving a car.
You like driving a car, driving with the windows down, the wind blowing through your hair, just like Becky, that free thinker. That's how she goes through life. The smell of pine trees and fresh asphalt. You look forward to these moments when it's just you and the road, ready, set, road, no distractions, handling every curve and feeling every nuance and asking yourself, does driving matter to you? And you're like, yeah, I think it does. Because if it does, then Mazda's got cars just for you, because to us, driving matters, Mazda. And now it's time for the appropriate time for our spoiler song. Here we go.
The Office of Civil Defense has issued the following message. This is
A spoiler.
warning.
A spoiler.
Warning means that an actual
Spoiler.
against this country has been detected, and that protective actions should be taken.
Yes, all right. It's noise. It's sound effects coming out of an iPad. It's time to talk spoilers. Okay. Is the competition still going on, Alex?
It ended.
Just ended.
All right.
Go ahead, Ian.
I was gonna say it ended a minute and 30 seconds ago.
Okay. Ian, who is our new HOH?
Austin.
Oh, boy. Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
All right, well, this will be actually a lot of intrigue to see. Will Austin pull the trigger on the Vanessa backdoor? It was Vanessa who started this whole mess this season.
Oh, my God.
Back when Austin was slated to go home, and she was the one who really was she says it was part of a committee, part of a group of people, but Alex, it was Vanessa who ultimately put Jason onto the block and really set off the inciting incident of this whole season.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, in Austin's mind, that conversation he was having with Jason was to help his alliance create separation in the minds of people between him and the twins with each other. And, without even consulting him, Vanessa heard that information, took it as gospel, and was ready to move against him. I think if he is thinking the way I would be thinking, that's something to certainly consider strongly.
And then this past week, it was Austin and the twins who found out, courtesy of Johnny Mac, about how Austin was going to be the backdoor target for Vanessa, and they are just stringing her along. Ian, this is not good for Vanessa, for your girl.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a pretty sticky situation.
I'll say. Yeah, I don't have the song ready to go, but I'm on the road, Ian. Sorry about that. Sorry to disappoint. Yeah. So this will be a pretty wild stuff. Alex, just gut reaction. Do you feel like Austin will put Vanessa on the block, or do you think that she will be a likely backdoor target?
I think it honestly depends on if Austin recognizes that keeping Vanessa is probably in his best interest.
Because this is a tight spot for him, because unlike earlier in the game, Ian, you're running out of people to put up on the block the back door. So what is he going to do? Is he going to put James and Meg up on the block and make enemies out of them? Does he put Steve and Johnny Mac up on the block as pawns? I mean, what would you do if you were Austin and you wanted to backdoor Vanessa?
I mean, he's going to just have to put up some sort of, people. I would say, well, I'm going to say that if you're Austin, you have to think that the Twins together would still have to be a bigger target than you, right?
I think so.
Well, then, in that case, I would just say, put up James and Meg, but let them in on this idea that he's trying to get Vanessa out if that's his target, and that they just have to be the ones to sit up on the block, just in case, but knowing that he has no real interest in getting rid of him.
Alex, that sound good to you?
Yeah, I think, right, the best plans are the ones where, you figure out who you want to get, you kind of then set about shoring up everything around it so that it goes through, as opposed to kind of what we saw Becky do, which is, here's what's going to happen, guys.
But at that point, if you're James and Meg, aren't you just like sort of just playing out the string where it's like, oh, okay, good, so we'll just get Vanessa out this week, but then obviously we're the next two targets after this?
Yeah, well, there's not a lot of room to hide at this point in the game, Rob. This really is the point where it's almost a numerical, like, it's almost hard to argue against common sense and just raw numbers. Because, I mean, like, I really don't think it's in the Austin and the Twins' best interest to take out Vanessa now, despite everything, simply because she has no one, clearly. And if they do take out Vanessa, they create the opportunity for the rest of the group to become a bigger group than their four. And, so I think, and John and Steve were even talking about this. This next week hinges on the Twins in Austin not recognizing that keeping Vanessa is good for them.
Okay, let's take some more questions. Let's start off with Travis, who says, who has the best pre-eviction plea speech in Big Brother history? Ian, do you have any research on this?
I actually don't, and I actually know. I was quite glad to sit out my season of the one that Compton asked questions about who said what in their speech, because I never listened to them. That being said, I always enjoyed a lot of Dr. Will's work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really classic. But as far as, like, more modern ones, I really did like in my season when Joe Mont. I thought that was actually really fun.
Okay. Great job. And Chef Joe had an appearance tonight also.
Yes, he did.
Good for Chef Joe. What a night. What a night. Gets mentioned on RJP and Big Brother 17. Travis wants to know, would Austin shave his head and beard to win a veto? Alex, has this come up before?
Oh, it did, but it's been so long and this season has been so active. God, what did he say? I think it was yes on the hair and no on the beard. I really want to say that was right.
Okay.
I want to... All right, I'm putting my stamp on that, and if I'm wrong, people feel free to correct me.
Doesn't Big Brother need to call him on that, Ian? Shouldn't there be a shave all your hair on your head to win a veto?
I don't know. I don't care.
But wouldn't it be great TV for him to say that he won't do it?
I mean, I always get frustrated when people say they would not. I mean, guys, anyway, not shave their head for a veto. I mean, bring a hat.
Yeah. Okay. So then let's go to this from Roberto Bosco Zen. Is Vanessa a GOAT now? We saw Shelly and Jackie are not happy with her, and Becky joins them. Ian, set the record straight. Is Vanessa a GOAT?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, do we know that they resent her? I mean, they seem to know that she was behind a lot of stuff, but I don't know that they dislike her to a point that they would vote for her if she were to be seen at the end.
I mean, doesn't it all depend on who you're sitting next to? Like, for instance, if Dan sat next to Danielle Murphy, he suddenly would be the winner of the season, right?
I mean, it has a lot better of a shot, yeah.
Yeah. So
it's unknown. I mean, it depends how it plays out, but yeah, I mean, he has a much better shot.
So Vanessa is, sitting next to somebody, like, let's say Becky comes back from jury, and she's sitting next to Becky, or sitting next to somebody who, pick whoever you want that people won't vote for, then she'll win, but if she's sitting next to somebody bad, she'll lose.
Yeah, I mean, that seems pretty reasonable. I mean, the thing is, though, I mean, who could Vanessa sit next to at the end that she would definitely beat? I mean, she might have to get a little bit crafty there.
Julia?
I mean, Julia is one, right?
Okay.
But I mean, I feel like the big goat, you know, if I'm in there, I would love to sit next to Meg, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, let's take one more question. This is from Tyler Allen. Inquiring minds want to know, what's this big secret that Steve has to share with Vanessa and Meg? He wants to do it in the morning while the wake-up music is playing, hence no live feeds. What on earth could Steve be hiding that requires so much hiding?
You know, I actually remember reading a thread about this on Reddit like months ago, and somebody had posited that it was something about his education background, but I really don't know at this point.
Alex, could you set this up? Could you give us some backstory on this? What the hell is this about?
Yeah, so there's actually been a more recent thread on Reddit about this, and it seems like, the conversation he had with Vanessa about this, it sounded, I don't know, it's kind of speculation, but it almost sounded like he was talking about a significant other he had back at home, and it almost sounded like he let he slip. He's been saying they. And it almost sounded like at one point he said he. So people are speculating that maybe Steve lied on the application knowing they would only cast one gay guy, he would be flamboyant, and that if Steve applied honestly saying that he was gay, that he wouldn't have gotten cast. So the speculation is that Steve is actually gay, but lied about it to get into the house. And that's
crazy.
Not from me.
Okay, well, just to devil's advocate, play that out. And I'm not saying, whether or not Steve is gay is, irregardless. The fact that now Steve is like, oh, I know every single casting thing, and they'll never cast two gay people in the same season. And obviously, if they're going to put me on the show, and I tell them that I'm gay, they won't put me on the show because they're going to put a flamboyant gay person on the show. And so that I just don't buy that he's in Robin Cass's head that he'll be disqualified. Oh, Steve, you were perfect. We put you on the show. Too bad you're gay.
Well, the other thing, though, Rob, is, I mean, perhaps not from a casting standpoint, right? I mean, it could just be his personal preference to not, say to be
that's
out.
Fine. Like if it's like, yeah.
The other thing you have to consider is even if you were to say that during the music, not on live feed, whatever, they're not going to pull him off the show.
Oh, I don't think they would pull him off the show.
They wouldn't make a difference.
Yeah, so I don't just buy the theory that the motive of why he wouldn't say anything is because he knew Robin Cass wouldn't put him on the show because they wouldn't put he'd be disqualified from casting because he isn't the more stereotypical.
No, yeah, my first thought about this when I read it is like, this is the kind of theory a Big Brother fan would come up with because we're very we're always thinking a Big Brother
friends with Allison Grodner. That's
right. It's one of those tinfoil theories, but at the same time, it was very cryptic the way it's been discussed as Steve's big secret and what is it, and I want to only talk when feeds are down. So it does sound like it could be something major.
Alex, have you heard him talk about this, or is this just the kind of thing where it's been an urban legend and taken on a life of its own?
No, he has had some conversations, softer conversations with Vanessa. It does sound like it is something very close to his heart that he hasn't let anyone in on.
When is that conversation happening? Tomorrow?
I don't know. I think, soon, when feeds are down. He didn't really specify. He just said, we'll talk about it at some point.
Could this be like a more mundane thing where it's like he wants to tell them he's a virgin or something like that?
Sure, it could be any number of things. It's just, it's a Big Brother Reddit thread. People like to speculate.
I think you're getting too carried away. He has a twin, I think that's what it is. Yeah. Okay, interesting. So, let's do, I said that would be the last question. We have one more that I think is a good question. Let's take this one, and this is from Travis, who says, which returning juror would cause the biggest waves if they return next week? Not who's going to come back. Who would you be rooting for to come back? Let's say it's Vanessa. That's going to be the person that gets booted this week, hypothetically. Which of these four women, very interesting, would you think are going to be the most likely person to come back?
I mean, is Vanessa really going back that interesting? That seems like revolving door to me.
Okay, so who is it, Ian? Who is the person you'd be rooting for to come back?
I mean, I'd like to see more Becky, to be honest, out of this.
More Becky?
Yeah.
Wow. For me, that would be the least interesting of the four to come back.
I I mean, I don't know. Jackie never really did anything for me, as far as entertainment value is concerned.
I have a soft spot for Jackie. I still feel like that she has upside in terms of entertainment.
And this is the time of the game, too, when, Jackie's style was really just, like, very, what you see is what you get. Like, she would talk about it, and then she was going to do it. When she ever got power, she never did. But this is the time of the game that you can do that. You don't need to cloak your moves because they're so clearly outlined by just the way the house is already broken. So this is actually the time of the game when I think Jackie would do much better. It could even, this is when Janelle was at her best, too. It's like your targets have already exposed themselves. The work is done for you.
Like, I think that Jackie would come back in the game and not be super concerned with winning. She would just come back into the game and be super concerned with, telling people off. I think that'd be the most interesting in terms of, I think she would really just come in and stir shit, stuff up, Alex.
Good TV.
Yeah, we like that. So, and that would be right here. Who's your person? Who do you want to see come back?
Man, it's tough. I've tried to stay objective as much as possible, and man, I guess I really don't know. I'm gonna plead the fifth on this one. I'm excited to see how it plays out.
No, you cannot plead the.
You're not gonna let me do that.
Fired on the spot for being a live correspondent.
Well, I can't have that. I guess I will say Shelly, simply because the few things I've heard contradict what I expected. I expected Shelly to kind of be over it when she's in the jury house. She's not over it. She's very, very into it. She was more into how Jackie got eliminated than Jackie was over it.
Yeah.
A little bit. You know what I mean? So I think Shelly could actually surprise. I think a lot of people expect Shelly to be a revolving door or come back and just kind of lay there, but I think she could actually come back and really just, with the energy.
All right. So next week, Ian, we will see. 1 week from tonight, we'll be sitting here talking about who just came back into the house. What a week.
Yeah.
What a week, Ian. Here we are, home stretch.
I mean, it's getting down there. I mean, they're on day 62, I thought I saw, and or something around there. And I mean, in my season it was day 62. I mean, we were closing in on the end at that point.
Yeah, right now it's August 20th. The premiere of Survivor and the finale of Big Brother is all September 23rd. So we are 1 month and 3 days away from the end of this thing.
2/3.
Yeah, close it in. The marathon, Ian. All right, Ian, great job tonight. That you had so much gusto for talking about the game tonight. Great job.
Yeah, I really tried. I think I did all right.
You did great. As always. All right, so follow Ian on Twitter. He's at Tulane Terry. Follow Alex on Twitter. He's at Alex Kidwell. Alex and I are going to be live in the morning to talk about, or we'll be talking in the morning. It won't be live, about what Becky has to tell us. Plus, we'll talk about what Austin is going to do as the HOH and whatever drama unfolds overnight. And then we've got a bunch of stuff coming up. I'm going to talk Last Comic Standing with Mike Bloom coming up tomorrow. That's going to be on Robin's Podcast. And then also, we're going to be back on Sunday night to talk more about everything going on in Big Brother this Sunday. Plus, the Full House movie is coming out this weekend. I'm waiting to hear back from Eric Stein when we're going to talk about the unauthorized Full House story. Ian, are you excited for that one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty big Full House fan.
Yes.
Not really, but I mean, I've watched it, and it's kind of one of those shows that you just like to watch just to make fun of it. So I think a movie cast is just it's pretty ideal.
Should be a lot of fun. Can't wait to talk about all that. So, all right, that's all coming up. Looking forward to seeing your comments on robinswebsite.com. Plus, Evolution of Strategy Chapter 25 is live and out there. Survivor Philippines. Very fun chapter to talk about. Great season of Survivor. You can check that all out at evolutionofstrategy.com, where you can hear our first chapter about Survivor Borneo completely for free at evolutionstrategy.com. Have a great night, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.